So I found it interesting that we actually ended up reading two lessons because in the first lesson it talks about how the uh, the soul is feminine. But there's holy souls, stomach souls. Wrong page. The wise men of old gave the soul a feminine name. Indeed, she is female in her nature as well. She even has womb. And the reason why I think that's interesting is because when I was reading the gospel from Revelation, um, basically the symbolism in the gospel makes me think that, well, I mean, like all mysteries, there's a million ways to take it, but the way I ended up reading this was about a perfect soul and their um, interaction with the physical reality and the the archons. Um, and I mean, when it says, "And a great sign appeared in heaven," both the woman and the dragon are both um, mentioned as signs specifically. And Revelation is basically all metaphor anyway. But the thing is that when I started breaking this down, um, the reason why I say that it's about a perfect soul is because it says, "A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet." And so to me, the moment I read that, the moon under her feet symbolizes being anchored or not anchored, but a foundation of femininity, and then wearing um, uh, the sun, which is a masculine symbol. So it's a perfect combination of a foundation of femininity as well as a robe or a cloak or some kind of masculinity, balancing the two out. And then the ground of 12 with 12 stars made me think of the 12 months. I know it also represents the zodiac. Um,
You have reached Stephen's answering machine and messaging system for the Queen of Heaven Gnostic Church. Please leave a message.
Make sure it wasn't somebody calling in from Zoom.
Fair enough. Um, and the next bit it talks about her being with child and crying for basically in childbirth, which made me think of in tarot the ace of any particular suit is about a new beginning, um, or the start of a new project or do something. And so basically, we have someone who's starting something new and is going through the pains of giving birth to it. And since it's a symbol, it doesn't necessarily have to be literal childbirth. It can be birth of, you know, literal birth, being born into the world as a soul in a incarnate body, or in your personal life, starting a new project or whatnot. Um, and then there's the dragon that has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 diadems, which reminded me of um, in I think it's the Secret Book of John, talks about how basically the head archon assigns different archons to each day of the week. Um, and then basically it's the dragon pursuing her, um, and then she gets wings of an eagle and flies in somewhere where the serpent can't get to her, and then the serpent uh, spews water at her, which instantly made me think of how water is largely associated with the unconscious and emotions specifically. So he's basically throwing all of his emotions at him, which the world has a habit of projecting stuff onto us and telling us, you can be this or not this, or all of that stuff. and but she doesn't give into it. She asks for help, and the earth, which is a symbol of material reality as well as grounding. And there's also the bit in the service about how there's you know when you if you look to the sky, the earth cries, why do you neglect me? You look to the earth, the sky, at you know. So there's also the woman who is the spirit feminine who's coming down, and then you've got the earth female who's helping her and sheltering her from this emotional dragon who's coming after her for. I mean, when you read this, there's no particular reason why the serpent's all emotional at her, really. Um, which makes me think that it's about the it's like the world it's projecting its feelings onto her, not necessarily what she's about specifically, but what her being in the world is triggering in the mind of this dragon. Um, and then when the dragon can't reach her, it goes after her kids because ultimately it's really just a bully. And the one other thing that made me think about the emotional dragon attacking the woman thing is it talks about how it gives her she gets the wings of an eagle. And when I heard that, I immediately thought of Norse mythology where there's an eagle on the top of the world tree and there's a dragon gnawing on the roots of the world tree. And basically they insults with each other through the squirrel, which climbs up and down the tree. And in Norse mythology, the eagle is just as invested in all this slanderous riling up stuff as the serpent. And so it's an equal exchange of insults and stuff. But unlike in Norse mythology, in this story, we have a dragon who's a crazy emotional and going after, and you've got the eagle figure who who doesn't actually buy into any of it. And the other interesting thing about eagle symbology specifically is that it was largely associated with kings and like head god figures. For instance, eagles are associated with Zeus, and in Egypt, it's associated with a deity whose name I forget and can only kind of pronounce even when I do remember. He is the god of Upper Egypt and the protector of the king. I also read somewhere else that eagles are also associated with royalty, but I didn't have enough time to look up and see where those sources were. So take that one with some salt. Um, but it seems correct because eagles are kind of on the top of the hierarchy of birds to a lot of extent.
Imperial eagle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy
Okay.
Roman,
Oh, the Roman Empire.
Holy Roman Empire,
Holy.
Holy Roman Empire, or the Imperial eagle. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
That makes sense. It's been a while since I read about the Holy Roman Empire, so I'm not surprised I forgot about that piece. Yeah, but I mean, it further goes along with this.
It supports your
Yeah, and
idea that it's associated with royalty.
right.
Mm.
And the interesting thing about that is that in all these situations, I find it interesting that the eagle seems to also be associated with masculinity, which also furthers the whole balanced soul thing because there's clearly feminine woman with some of these very clearly masculine. Although it's also royalty, the head of state, as you might call it. Um, yeah. Yeah. So basically what I'm getting at is that there are two ways to go about life. You can either be like the eagle in the Norse mythology and give in to all the crazy making stuff people are saying about you or not saying about you, whatever. Or you can be like the soul in the myth of the of Revelation who you know, like Sophia herself, when she falls into the darkness, she doesn't give in to the chaos swirling around her. Um, she asks for help and she does what she can to get out as much as she can. Then she accepts help for what she can't do herself. And that's the other bit about Norse mythology is that Norse mythology is more about um, chaos versus order than good and evil. And the serpent or the dragon who's chewing at the roots of the world tree is definitely an agent of more of chaos because his name is associated with um, people who break oaths and basically bad things in Norse mythology, Norse society. And the eagle, you know, being at the top and all is more of a symbol of order. But again, in Norse mythology, the eagle has bought into the crazy making of the serpent. So what I'm saying is, if possible, when things get crazy, try and remember that, you know, when a being like the dragon, whose Norse mythology is not sure whether or not he's eating the tree for the heck of it, or if he's trapped by it so that he can't affect Earth. But basically, you got the serpent who's in pain and has all of these issues. You can either buy into this twisted sense of emotional turmoil, or you can seek help and do what you can to get away from it. Because, well, as someone once put, you have a reputation for every single person out, and you can't control how other people view you or what they say or do about you. Um, and I had a personal example, and then I completely lost it on the drive forward. So that go in peace, and may the lady walk with you. Amen.